I will be gentle with myself, and I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself, and I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart, and I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart, and I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself, and I love myself like a newborn baby child. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself, and I love myself like a baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. Now I know I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself, and I hold myself like a newborn baby child. I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself, and I hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I rock myself like a newborn baby child. And I hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I love myself like a newborn baby child.
Doesn't look like we have anybody else waiting to join just yet. So today, Sue and Rocio, our topic is the Ho'oponopono prayer, which you may have heard of. Huh?
Yes, that would be great.
Yes. So you've heard of it before, I'm sure. And
Yes.
so I came across 3 short videos interviewing Dr. They'll say his name, It just left my mind. That happens so many times a
I think
day.
it's Lou.
Lou, yeah, I
Lou?
think so. So he'll tell about the story, but as a reminder, it's the prayer that he used in the hospital, and they'll talk about it in the videos. Each one of them is about 8 minutes, so we'll have a chance to watch it and then discuss a little bit. And if we want to watch a second one, we can watch and discuss that one. But basically, the 4 phrases of the prayer are: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And it doesn't matter in what order. This is the order that I learned it in, and I learned it, thank you for forgiving me. But I think any way that you say these, if you're having a conflict, you don't even have to say it directly to someone. I've used this prayer in trying to free myself of discord with my brother. I don't know what it's all about. I just know the way he behaves. And so I work on freeing myself from that by using this prayer. So let me see if I can get to there it is. Let me see if I can share the other one. Where is now? Sorry, I'm working on
That's fine.
getting to the right share
There you-
screen. Well, let's see if that's going to let us share that one, and then maybe I can flip over. Yeah. Do you see it?
Yes. Yes.
We are sitting here in the inn at 213 17 Mile Drive in Pacific Grove, California. And I have the pleasure of having an interview with Dr. Hugh Len. And present with me also is Rick Moss, Dr. Rick Moss, and Marvin Bruno. We have some questions. I have some questions of Dr. Hugh Len. Please tell me, how do I pronounce your first name? Is it Heliakala? Is that right?
It's Akala.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I'm wanting to speak with you, especially about some of the ideas that you bring up in the book Zero Limits, written about you by Joe Vitale. And perhaps you could start out by explaining a little bit about this idea of 100% responsibility for oneself, and an entirely different idea of what the self is according to the system that you speak about.
Well, I think Shakespeare said it better than I. If you read Sonnet 146, Shakespeare says, poor soul. And so Shakespeare is saying the basic idea is that there are tragedies in our lives because we don't take a look at where the origin of the problem is, and it's always in self. So the tragedy being in life is that we're clueless and we repeat the same thing over and over and over again. And so when I work at Hawaii, for example, when I worked at Hawaii State Hospital, working with people killed, raped, and murdered people, I had to ask the question, what is going on in me that I'm experiencing this? I'm experiencing a patient being violent, I'm experiencing staff going crazy, that sort of stuff. And so having to take 100% responsibility for that. What's going on in me that I'm creating this experience. And so I just do this cleaning, and the cleaning, the Ho'oponopono is about going into the self, and specifically into the subconscious, and where the data is, and since everything is run by information, so that the information in my subconscious is dictating to me what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing. It's like in Shakespeare's Tempest, where Miranda says, "Oh, woe is me to see what I see." So Miranda has this insight that she's only seeing with data, and so it is with me, and so it is with all of you, and so I just work on the data in me that I experience as, quote, the other person. So if I see you as being crazy and goofy, it's only my experience of you. If I erase that, you can't be that way. It's not possible. And so that's what I mean to be 100% responsible. Being 100% responsible is taking responsibility for what is going on you that you experience of whatever.
Could I ask you to clarify just a little point? You said, what is it in me that is experiencing this?
Yeah.
Could you clarify what you mean by experiencing? Do you mean perception?
No, I don't even mean that. I'm not, the perception is really a end product or consequence of data playing in the subconscious. So again, coming back to Miranda is saying, I only can see what I see because the data is seeing what I see. So Miranda is really speaking what Shakespeare said, the mind is just a stage, and the data runs around on the stage, and the data is really what is going on. And so if the data is such that I'm experiencing suffering, or I'm experiencing people being goofy, then I have to be responsible for that. What's going on in me, and it's simply data playing, and more specifically memories replaying in the subconscious. And those can be erased.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is probably the most profound thing about this Ho'oponopono, is that you could erase data.
Could you give us an example of what it feels like or looks like for data to be erased, or is that not something that can be done in this kind of setting?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Could you give us an example of cleaning? I mean, how do we erase the data within our own minds?
Well,
is that something that could be discussed?
Of course. You can teach it. Trees can do it. Cars can do it. Anybody can do it. But the idea is the most fundamental question one needs to know is the question, who am I? And most people have no idea about who they are, and therefore are not allow the data in them to speak for them, as opposed to choosing to not have the data by erasing it. And so it's coming back to great sages like Jesus. Jesus said, love your enemies, and your only enemy is the memory replaying that you experience as the judgment, anger, resentment, hate, annoyance. And so the Ho'oponopono is about falling in love with the data and saying to the anger, I love it, saying to the memory that replays the anger, I love you, thank you for showing up, and giving one more chance to free you. And so the Ho'oponopono is just simply saying, I love you, thank you.
When the data is erased, what is the self that remains? Is it a unique self that is God created? Is it individuated, or is it just pure self?
So let me come back at you. So I would ask you, who's talking? Who's asking the question?
Well, that would be the data, and because the other part of me would know the answer to that.
Yeah, but I'm saying since the data is talking, you can erase the data. So I'm saying to people, no matter if you have questions, you'll never be able to get at what is going on because the data is running you. And the idea is to get to see, we historically have come from this notion that you can decode things. So the Greeks come along, and Greeks said, well, let's examine, let's analyze. But the Ho'oponopono is not about examining or analyzing. Ho'oponopono is about letting go of the data. So when the data is erased, you are what Buddha called in the space of void, or what Shakespeare calls you're in a state of blank. And it is when you are in that state of emptiness, void, and blank, then this inspiration comes through. What quantum physics called the phantom force of nothing.
So it's a state of nothingness?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, it's a state of nothingness that you're
But
describing?
you have to really be careful because one has to be as precise as possible.
No thought? No words?
No, not no thought, no data plane. So what does that mean to have no data free? That means you're free. You're absolutely free when no data plays. And and it's only at freedom, or I'll use another word, clarity. Clarity is defined as no data playing. No data meaning no memory replaying in the subconscious that one experiences. So let's say you get the mind back to zero. Is what Jesus called the stone or the foundation. And only on that foundation then can you build something. And then out of that foundation comes the inspiration. And so you are moved by perfect information as opposed to being using dead information. Because most of the time we're dead. Because we, without realizing, we're stuck in old data and we're dead. And the Ho'oponopono is about releasing the death and the debt. So we basically have a mortgage on our souls, and we don't even know that. And we because we're not conscious of it or not even aware of it, we're stuck in it, and we're just going to suffer. And it doesn't have to be so. That you can erase the data back to zero, and at zero, out of nothing comes this phantom force of inspiration. New data, brand new.
There's so much of our
Hello, welcome, Dave and Mandy. You got a lot of that, but not all of it. So that was Dr. Hugh Lin, who, from his indigenous background in Hawaiian mysticism, used this prayer, the Ho'oponopono, to heal people in a psychiatric hospital. So what he was just explaining, for those of you who were with us on Monday, when we talked about the the trinity of humankind being the spirit, soul, and body. In that conversation, we talked about soul being the combination of the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. So what he was referring to is a clearing of that subconscious mind, which is all those things that have happened to us. Sometimes they're epigenetic, sometimes they're they have them when we're small and we don't have even a clear memory to, but we have reactions that come forth from the subconscious mind. So when he's saying it's working with your soul to clear your soul, it's clearing your conscious and your subconscious mind, because you're consciously saying the prayer, it's my intention to be free and to clear myself. So you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you for forgiving me, or thank you, I love you. That's clearing you. It's doing nothing with the other person, but it's clearing you and freeing you, so that, as he said, that phantom force, that energy, that divine mind, that God force has no obstacles through which to express through each one of us. Any thoughts?
Ay. Well, isn't that like Mary's box?
Yes, in a way it is. And she's talking about Mary Reed, and when she had us write things on a paper box, and then we emptied our mind by blowing into it as if we were emptying sand into this box. We were letting go of everything in our mind. And to me, the box, I guess when I did the box exercises, I've done it 3 different times in workshops with her. And for me, it seems like it's emptying me of that moment. And I feel like and that's just that's my conscious thought about it. That doesn't mean it's emptying everything. It could be. And with what I learned from his prayer, which was a long time ago, decades ago, I learned that prayer at first. And I've used it repeatedly, but it's more of a clearing on that soul level, which the box can be as well.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing I don't understand is how that then healed the prisoners, the ones in the inmates.
The inmates, the psychiatric
Yes.
inmates, yeah. So what it did was it freed up, like he was trying to treat them, and they were considered untreatable. So when he cleared himself of whatever that belief was and whatever that consciousness that he inherited as he inherited this hospital, the responsibility for this hospital, he had to let himself be free of that limited thought about them. And then divine mind could go to work, divine intelligence could express. But he had to do his part to free it up. Because we have what's called collective consciousness, and it's at work all the time. So collective consciousness can hold us back. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So then when he freed himself of
Cleared himself.
those things, it also freed the inmate who he was dealing with at the time.
Yeah, he cleared. He calls it a clearing.
A clearing.
So he's clearing himself so that he is a clear channel for channel. I don't mean like channeling something other than, but a clear vessel through which to express the divine. Those are not his words, but those are the words we use. That, you know, that expression of God that we all are. So he could raise his vibration, so that could then affect them. Because, you know, when you're with someone, well, Sue, you're in the choir. So, you know, when you have like someone who comes into the choir and everybody sings okay, but then you have one person who comes in who sings really super well, everybody raises their ability to sing.
Yeah.
Because they're raising their vibration, their ability with that person who can sing better. That happens in our energy field as well. So when we keep ourselves clear and we are operating from that higher vibration, then it raises the vibration of those around us, not because you're intentionally trying to. That would be counterproductive, to intentionally try to raise someone else's. That's why he's saying it's 100% responsibility on ourselves. How we show up in the world is our responsibility, and it affects the world through that ripple effect.
So my understanding is he never really came into physical or any kind of treatment proximity to the patient at all. He did it simply by looking at their records.
Well, we can continue watching and see what more he says. Now, I don't know that he never saw any of the patients, but I believe it was impossible for him to see all the patients.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they got well, whether he saw them or not.
Yeah.
Through that intention, through that raising of his vibration, that clearing, as he calls it.
Pretty incredible.
Well, that's, you know, if you remember, I don't know if you were here for that conversation one Sunday morning when I was talking about constructive interference of the ripple effect. So when you have the vibration of two ripples that are matching, they'll amplify the effect.
Yes.
And so with that intention, it raises and probably affected them in a way that they could believe they could get well. Because, you know, if someone looks at you, just like Myrtle Fillmore, everyone around her told her she was a sickly child and that she'd never get well. So she believed that until she heard someone say that wasn't true. And then she chose to believe that wasn't true, and she healed herself.
Yeah.
So in his deciding that he could offer this clear energy, this clear intention to them, then they could, even without being in contact with them, be affected by that.
Mm-hmm.
So do we want to watch some more?
Sure.
I just wanted to make a comment. When you said about coming into the choir, a very good voice raises everybody. It's like everybody becomes a better singer.
Mm-hmm.
I like that analogy because also I can do yoga at home, But if I come to a class where 10 people are doing yoga, it's a different experience because everybody's energy is helping each other, the ripple effect.
It's very true. We amplify one another's energy, especially if we take responsibility and we keep ours clear and we're bringing good energy in. Just like someone with bad energy can just, mess it all up. They don't even have to say anything. They just come in the room and people can feel it.
Yes.
Because everything is energy. And so what he's talking about is just keeping that clear so our energy field can be its naturally high state. Yeah, it happens whether I used to do a lot of community theater when I was younger. And it was true sometimes they would pay one professional actor to come in and have one of the lead roles because it made everyone else, they couldn't afford to pay everyone because it was community theater, but having that one professional actor raised everybody's abilities.
Because we are all one.
Yeah, because we're all one and we just naturally mirror one another. We have those mirror neurons and we naturally mirror one another. And we feel that there's so many, it's affecting us on so many different levels.
You could also say that as he clears his mirror, he clears his space so that this other being can look at himself as who he really is and not the choices he's made to where
and he never, and if you notice what he said, he wasn't getting into the analytics of it.
No.
He was 100% taking responsibility for himself, and he had an intention for them, but whether or not they got there or how they got there, it was just, I'm going to be responsible for myself.
Yeah.
And that's really where the key is, I think.
Yes. Wow. I'm ready.
Okay, let's watch a little more.
Okay.
Are you seeing it?
Not yet.
Oh, okay, hang on. I flipped over to it for me, but let me get back to the share screen.
Oh.
Hang on a second. Seems to do something different every time. It's me, I know. Here we go.
It's just a story, and the data is telling you what to say, and you're stuck. And that means if you're stuck, I'm stuck.
Okay.
So
let me try to phrase it another way.
You cannot phrase it another way. There's no other way you can phrase that.
If you're in zero, let me try it another time. Can you be in zero state and have language?
You're going to be in zero state and have perfect, you're going to say whatever is perfect and right. And everything, in other words, let's say you're at zero, that means the whole world, the whole cosmos becomes zero. That means everything gets enlightened. So he gets enlightened, the chair gets enlightened. But they don't get enlightened from me. They get enlightened directly from the source. And so then the language is perfect. And it's a language in which you're not even aware as to what the artists call inspiration. Like all of a sudden, Van Gogh's or these great artists just do it. Well, how did you do it? I don't know. I just did it. Yeah. That's the language of love and art. Truth, beauty beyond comprehension. Yeah.
If one takes responsibility for everything and everyone,
everything that's going on in that person, yes,
then the idea of free will, that each has a will to choose or a decision or to choose for themselves how they want to grow, change, heal.
Yeah.
That would not be a point that you would recognize. Is that correct?
Well, it depends on, again, we have to be really precise, so I'm going to come back and ask you. So when you say free will, what does that mean?
To me, it means the right to choose against what is natural, the right to hold on to one's programming, the right to separate oneself in one mind from source.
See, what happens is that at any given moment, 11 million bits of information is playing, for which you are unconscious of.
Yes.
So it's driving you. So you don't have free will, but you have choice. The choice is, like Shakespeare is saying, to be or not to be free of the data. You have that choice, but the data is going to run you. The only question is, what data is going to run you? Is it going to be inspiration, or is it going to be memory, which is dead stuff? So that's the choice, but one doesn't have free will.
Can I approach the question differently? Because it's not...
Yeah.
Let's talk about the people at Hawaii State Hospital.
Yeah.
By changing yourself, you changed them because they are part of yourself. Is the language correct?
Well, I think what happens is like with you. Before I came here, I got the address, so I did the cleaning on the address. I did the cleaning on this camera and on your camera, because I don't know what he took before, and that will interfere with what's going on now. And so I'm taking 100% responsibility, because peace begins with me. So if I show up and I'm not peaceful, you can't be peaceful yourself. And so I'm only here because only for one purpose, and that is to make amends for whatever.
For whatever.
Yeah, and I don't know what that whatever is consciously, but there are parts of me that know what that is, and so my job is just to begin being 100% responsible by doing the cleaning. Yeah, but I don't know what's getting cleaned up. I'm clueless.
I get the impression that you make many of your decisions, your actions, based upon petitioning divinity to make a choice as to act in one way or to act in another way. Is that right?
Again, we're going to have to be really precise now. Okay. I do the cleaning. That's my job, to get back to zero. I want to be free.
Okay.
That's my only purpose for being on this planet is I got garbage, and which is mortgage on my soul, and I want to let go of the garbage so I can be free. And so at freedom, the information comes from the source.
Yes.
But I won't even know it. I can't say, oh, I got the information. That's not my job. My job is just to keep cleaning nonstop and let it unfold however it's going to unfold, because 11 million inspirations coming in, I'm not even aware of that.
So what is cleaning like? Can you describe what your cleaning process is?
Yeah, cleaning is only saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me for whatever data is going on in me that I need to make amends for. Yeah.
And so if someone calls you up, like me, and says, would you come and speak with us?
Yeah.
So then what do you do?
I clean.
And then what happens?
Well, if I clean enough, then we go, oh, okay, it's okay to do it, and I do it.
Oh, okay.
If I clean and I don't get to do it, I won't do it. And there are many interviewers on which I have not done because I don't get to do it, and I'm not making that decision. It's the information in me that's making the decision,
and
not me.
How do you know that?
I don't know that.
No, I mean, how do you know to come?
I don't know that. I just do it. And then it says go, and then I tell him it's okay. But it isn't like a process where you go, oh, I got it. It's something that has to be worked on and cleaned on, and then like a rose, it just begins to unfold, and at some point, because I've been doing this for, I don't know, almost 3 decades, I have it.
Sorry.
Can I ask a question to that point? Do you believe that it's possible? Some people believe they can ask a question and get a yes or no answer. There's psychokinesiology, there's the use of pendulums, things of that nature that allow one to perceive that they're receiving an answer. Do you believe that that's possible?
Well, but I want to come back at you again.
Please.
for me, the reason I'm here is only for the purpose of cleaning. Okay, I'm clear about that. And so, the cleaning, the purpose of the cleaning is to free up the data. So I don't know exactly what you're talking about. If I were to use a pendulum, I would make sure that I would be data free, and then I would ask. Yeah. But the pendulum, if you're not at zero, you'll get funny answers. Yeah.
Based upon your own scripts and your ideas.
I like that, but I would be more precise, based on memories, data in the computer bank. Yeah. Yeah.
And so how would you suggest that people begin the enterprise of cleaning?
I don't even do that. I just do the cleaning myself, and if people want to learn it, they show up. Yeah, like you.
Here I am.
Yeah. So,
Well,
for example, years ago, I had somebody say to me, "Convince me that I should take this class," and I said to him, "We don't do any marketing. I don't do any of that sort of stuff. I mean, it's a decision, a choice that you have to make on your own. I'm not here to make any money. God, if I was here to make money, I'm in the wrong business." Yeah.
I've been doing marketing.
Okay, that was the second segment. What are your thoughts?
He's amazing. He's amazing. He's really focused, and he's really centered, and you can get that into. If not, it's just a mind thing that it's a labyrinth. You can never. I mean, we can discuss even with the same or similar beliefs. We can start no, but this, no, but that, and you get into a labyrinth. You get lost. There's no truth in there. And I think I'm very touched deeply. And yes, words are hard. You know, it's very difficult to express and questions, because people are like, why? Well, if this goes on, I mean, the economy, that it will get crazy. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, no, just meditate. You keep doing what you're doing, you know, and do it better. And that's all.
100% responsible for yourself.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. In every single little detail.
Yeah, I love how simple he keeps it, you know? Yeah, Mark says he missed too much of the meeting today to participate meaningfully right now. And I get that. And these are free on YouTube. There's 9 of them. And we just barely started, but we can continue actually and use these because I think it's a lot to explore. And, you know, we always say from spiritual standpoint, things are very simple, yet not easy, right? It's very simple. He's like, I just clear myself. And then the answers come. Well, what do you do about this? I just clear myself. Well, what do you think about that? I just clear myself. So it just comes back to being responsible for not having all that interference of that subconscious mind and even the conscious mind, because the conscious mind is what we put our attention on now. So if you do spend all your time all day long watching every COVID report, you don't need more than 10 minutes of COVID reporting a day. You just need to know, what are the new guidelines and, you know, what am I responsible for, right? And then you're responsible for clearing yourself, as he says, and keeping your energy clear right now so that you contribute good into the universe, because there's plenty of anxiety. Sue?
Well, I think I really understood the whole concept a lot better just by going within myself and feeling it. I mean, I think I didn't feel like he made a dent in my understanding of what he was doing.
Okay. I think you and he are doing the same thing. He's just trying to keep it simple, and you're trusting your guidance.
I think that that's it.
Yeah. And what he's saying is, if you're clear, you can always trust your guidance. And if you're not clear, if something's affecting you, if you get a phone call and someone pulls up something and brings you back to something, maybe they call you and, they want you to help them with something, and then you have a reaction to it. So before you decide, not you specifically, you, Sue, but before any of us decide about how to respond to that request, we need to clear ourselves. That's what he's saying, right? Clear.
Yeah.
Clear. However you do it. He's like, I clear on the address, and I clear on your name, and I clear. Yes. Or you just clear from whatever. I mean, it's just another tool. If it makes sense to you to clear, or if it makes sense to you to get quiet in meditation and empty your mind.
Yeah.
Mandy Scott? I know you hadn't heard of Ho'oponopono until today.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what is he, because I missed the first 14 minutes. So what is he meaning when he's saying he's cleaning?
Yeah, he's clearing himself he's doing an intentional clearing, and he's using the phrases, I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you, I love you. And so far he's only mentioned, I'm sorry, forgive me. And I think, but there are 4 phrases that people use, but they're very simple. That's what he's doing. He's just clearing whatever kind of current or past memory. He's just clearing out any kind of connection or subconscious or conscious bias one way or the other. And he's just using those words, I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you, I love you.
And who are the 2 people that he's talking to?
Interviewers.
Okay.
People that requested to interview him. He was a doctor in Hawaii who took on a state mental institution. I think they were criminally insane. And nobody had been able to make any progress. And he began to use this process, and they ended up shutting down the facility because people were getting well.
Wow.
Yeah. Dave, are you saying something?
Possible.
Yeah. Dave Russell, let me see. You're on
mute.
You're on mute. Let me unmute you.
There you go.
I saw your lips moving. I unmuted you, Dave, if you have something.
Oh, I just agreed with her. Wow, I'm finding his use of the term clear to me is almost a little confusing. I almost find the term and maybe the practice meditation to be more understandable to me at this point than the term clear.
Yeah. Well, maybe it'll become more clear because there are 9 of these, and we've only watched 2 of them today, but we could watch more. But basically, he's clearing, as we were talking about in the beginning, our soul, as he was referring to, it's a clearing of your soul. So the soul is the combination of your conscious and your subconscious mind. And so he's clearing both his subconscious mind, which that's that mind of reactionary, that assumptions and stereotypes, and that all that messages, unknown biases. We don't even know how many biases that we carry around and affect our behavior and our thoughts every day. And so that's on a subconscious level, and he's making a conscious intention to clear that out. So he's a pure vessel. So it's that cleaning, he calls it, is just making sure that he's doing that process of Ho'oponopono, of clearing it out. And then the divine can express through him without the soul, the conscious and subconscious, having an effect. Well, that was
Actually,
interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
I think you explain it better than he does.
Well, he's not trying to explain it. That's the
That's-
thing, right?
yeah.
I'm putting it in context related to unity terms but he's really saying there are no words. There are no words. You just take responsibility for yourself and do your clearing. And he does teach a process. Actually, I have I have a CD set that is he and Joe Vitale doing workshops, teaching people how to do this process. So when we can get back together, or maybe I can figure out how to do play CDs on the computer and put them on Zoom. I don't know. I have to learn something new every day, it seems like. But,
May I?
yes.
May I say something?
Yes.
My guru in the yoga tradition, he would say that comparing these to the meditation. In the meditation, your energy rises to a point where these grooves, these thoughts, these our baggage gets dissolved, gets burned with this energy. So you don't have to go into, oh, well, my mama did this and my father did that, and that's why I'm this way. It just, it's como point zero, coming to point zero without many questions, without many thoughts about why, when, whatever extra that we put into it that was really bad because blah, blah, blah. And the good and the bad that we were born with. I mean, don't do that. That's bad for you. No, you don't do that because the church says that's a sin. All that guilt, I mean, it's overwhelming. And so when you meditate, you get to that point and that energy is clearing you. It's clearing you, what he's saying. He clears himself, but it's clearing you. So you prepare for that. I'm sure he meditates. And then there's no need for too many words or for too many processes or learning how to, just kind of trusting, because we never got a chance to trust. I mean, my trust in God is so much higher than I ever could imagine. And it's just the doingness, the every day, in every single detail.
It's a commitment to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a commitment to yourself. And I think you were saying much of the same thing that he was saying. He's not explaining because it's so simple to him, because he's done it always. You know, he just talks about, well, you're just clearing. You know, I do my clearing. It's being intentional. And I think when you commit to meditation, you do change. Your vibration changes. The world around you changes because your vibration changes. And you get much more into the flow of things, and things, there's an ease. It doesn't make things easier, but there's that ease that comes with a life of meditation, because just as he was talking about, then I just know. Do you need a pendulum? Do you need this? I just know. I know the difference. And the more that you commit to that, then the more you know the difference.
Practice makes perfect.
Mm-hmm. And you
that may work
you
for
become
people from some societies, but it seems like most Westerners, we have so much baggage to say, oh, I don't have to go through the whole process. I'll just be clear. I think for a lot of people, that's just a way of hiding stuff that's down inside. I don't know how clear we can be by just saying, okay, I'm gonna be clear now.
Well, I think when you have a regular meditation practice and you do get to the point where things I mean, clearing does work. And if you've used those phrases, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you for forgiving me, I love you, it does make a shift. I would encourage you, if you haven't tried Ho'oponopono, that, and the cool thing is when you work it into a conversation with someone, if there is contention, if you just begin, not in an annoying way, but if you're just willing to say, I'm sorry, for whatever it is they're expressing that is causing contention. You may not be wrong, but you can still say, I'm sorry. I didn't like that when I was a young girl. My mom would always say, well, you should apologize. You be the bigger person. But really true, there's a lot of truth to that. And if you just say, please forgive me to someone, it's very disarming because you're asking their forgiveness. Maybe you don't need their forgiveness, but you're asking for their forgiveness. And someone said to me one day, well, I don't need to forgive you. And I said, no, you don't for you, but if you would for me, I would appreciate it. And they went, oh, okay. You know, so, and anytime you say, I love you, as long as your heart is in that place of, I love you, not in a manipulative, well, I love you, you know, it's like, and thank you is so powerful. So all of those phrases together, sequentially, separately, they're all very powerful phrases. And I think that's where the power and the clearing comes. And we are already at 5 o'clock. I can't believe it, but I've got to.
You gotta go. You have a meeting.
I do. I have a meeting at 6 and I have to do a little bit more preparation and maybe comb my hair before I meet with the board of directors. So, but thank you guys for coming today. This was a great discussion. Namaste. I love you.
Namaste. I love you.
Namaste.
Have a great day.